The search for truth. Now, what is truth? Some say the truth can mean so many things to so many different people. I know, right? What does that mean? There's a quote from Galileo Galilei that goes, "All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them." So while growing up as a kid, my mom, being super religious, would teach us about the Bible and what she believed was right or wrong. The thing is, when I visited my aunts, uncles, or friends' house, they in turn would teach me what they believed was right or wrong, and that cycle pretty much continued through most of my childhood. Now, don't get me wrong, I did learn a lot, especially about the moral and ethical values we all share, the traits of always being kind, compassionate towards others and your surroundings. This to me was so priceless and has helped me tremendously with my journey through life thus far. I only had issues with their interpretation of something, like a particular doctrine or passage that didn't add up or made sense because of the explanation I was given. The crazy thing was, they are all Christians, believed in the Bible, and although they belonged to different forms of Christianity, each taught they were the only ones with the truth, and that their way was the only way, which I guess is justifiable. I remember saying to myself, how could that be? And as a little kid, I could not grasp that concept, not even for a minute. I would constantly question, how could we all read from the same book, the same passage or verse, and have such a different interpretation or view of the exact same message? What blew my mind even more was they could not ever agree on a particular scripture from the Bible. But they all pretty much answered my question with the same ridiculous answer. Well, you know, people believe what they believe and interpret things differently. And while that is somewhat correct, and could be a good argument on the differences of people's opinions, it did not explain anything, and felt like a cop-out explanation with no true merit. The worst part is, they would go right back, trying to convince me that their interpretation was correct. That drove me crazy, as you can imagine. Not being able to get the answers I felt comfortable with, I started my quest to find the truth. Now, I'm not saying I found all the answers, or you should follow my path because it is the right path to the truth, and that my way is the only way. That would be ridiculous, right? What I do think is that each individual has his or her own ways to discover the truth, but you have to search for it. And even if it is a relentless search throughout your life, it is totally worth it in the end. Sorry, not the end. The end, like colloquial. You get what I mean. No one should ever take anything at face value and should constantly question anything and everything before it becomes an integral part of their belief system and life. Although this topic is based on circumstances I faced growing up as a Christian, I'm sure you can relate to my issues even if you were brought up Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, Jewish, atheist, Jedi follower of the drowned God. You get the point. There is a scripture in the Bible that says if the blind leads the blind, they would all fall in a ditch. The reason I bring this up is most people's beliefs are based on what someone else believes in, and not what they discovered on their own. And this definitely includes all the people that told me that their way was the right way. But how could it be their way when they were following someone else? They would rather believe in what someone else believes in, say a parent, spouse, teacher, pastor, etc., etc. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we are not influenced or should not be influenced by people, cultures, books, or surroundings, because these are all forces that mold us into individuals and is very important for our growth. My issue is when a person knowingly follows one point of view or teaching so wholeheartedly that it becomes part of their life without any true search for knowledge. And they all say the same thing. It was faith that led them to that understanding. And I am not saying it's not, but shouldn't you still research at least one more outlet before making such a life-altering choice? Look, I am all about faith and taking that leap, but I also would like to know why these things are important to the person teaching it and how they arrived at that conclusion. Just imagine being a judge on a murder case, and you only listen to the defendant's argument of his innocence. You then conclude that he's not guilty without even listening to the evidence from the prosecution. Is that bizarre? Or maybe eating an apple and claiming it is the best fruit in the world without trying the hundreds of other fruits. Does that make sense? Please, do not try and convince yourself that you found the truth from just one source. I know, it might go against everything you have been taught this far, but ask yourself if the teachings you received are from someone who found their way through a continuous search through all avenues while questioning everything, or someone who read a book or two and have somehow become an expert on the truth, and now tells you how you should or shouldn't live your life. One of the most fascinating reactions I get when I ask someone why they follow a certain religious belief besides getting super defensive, like I'm trying to take their lunch money or something, is they also say, well, our pastor studied theology for years, and that's why we follow his teaching. But didn't he just study the rules of one organization who taught him exactly what they wanted him to teach his followers? I just wanted to be clear. I am not here to tell anyone how to live their lives or what they should or should not believe. I just think it's best to keep an open mind while searching for the answers to the questions you might have, but it is equally important to use as many different sources before coming to a conclusion of which path to head down. It would suck to go through your entire life following someone else's views or opinions and figure out way down the line that they were doing this for the wrong reasons or their teachings has been misconstrued. I guess for me, I can rest assured that my decisions are now based on a personal search for knowledge, and not by following someone else's path, a past tradition, or teachings that was passed down or taught to me way before I could have an opinion or make an informed decision of what that teaching meant. This video is definitely not a pitch for everyone to become a citizen of the world or anything along those lines. I really do not think anyone should wholeheartedly follow someone else's rules of life without some kind of understanding of why. And I'm not talking about morals or being a good person, which we all should strive to have and become. Everyone should live their lives as they choose, without having to feel guilty of disappointing someone else for not following their way. It is your life, your goals, your dreams. You should follow your own path to realizing what you should or shouldn't believe.